What if the world's two most powerful militaries went to war? The United States and Russia have been rivals for decades. Each country possesses thousands of nuclear warheads, massive armies, and cutting-edge technology. But if war actually broke out between them, what would happen? Would it be a short, devastating nuclear war or a prolonged global conflict? Today, we explore a hypothetical war between the US and Russia, how it might start, what strategies each side could use, and most importantly, who would win? Let's dive in. While no one wants an all-out war, history has shown that even small conflicts can spiral into full-scale wars. Here are three possible triggers for a war between the US and Russia. First, NATO-Russia conflict in Eastern Europe. Russia escalates tensions in Ukraine, Poland, or the Baltic states. A military accident between the sides, perhaps a plane being shot down, escalates into a full-scale confrontation. Second, Arctic and Pacific confrontation. Russia expands military operations in the Arctic, near Alaska. The US and its allies respond aggressively, leading to an exchange of fire. 3. Cyber warfare and economic sanctions. A devastating cyber attack cripples US infrastructure, banks, power grids, communication systems. In retaliation, the US launches severe economic sanctions, strangling the Russian economy. With its economy collapsing, Russia sees military action as its only option. Once the first shots are fired, there's no turning back. What would happen in the first 48 hours of war? Phase 1, the first skirmishes. In the first 24 to 48 hours, both sides would act swiftly to gain the upper hand. Here's how the initial phase of war might unfold. Russia's first move: massive missile strikes on NATO bases in Europe, Germany, Poland, Romania. The US retaliates with stealth bombers and cruise missiles, targeting Russian air defense systems and command centers. Naval warfare in the Atlantic and Pacific. US aircraft carriers move to secure the seas, cutting off Russian naval movements. Russian nuclear submarines creep towards US shores, armed with hypersonic missiles. Cyber warfare, the invisible battlefield. Power grids flicker, banking systems freeze, communication networks go dark. Both nations unleash cyber attacks, disrupting critical infrastructure and fueling global panic. At this stage, the world would be on the edge of nuclear war. But would either side actually push the button? Would nuclear war happen? The biggest question of all, would this war turn nuclear? Both the US and Russia possess over 6,000 nuclear warheads. If even 10% of these were used, entire nations would be wiped from the map. Russia launches tactical nuclear strikes on NATO forces in Europe. The US responds with nuclear retaliation, targeting Russian military bases. Within minutes, cities like Moscow, Washington, and Berlin could be reduced to ashes. At this point, world leaders would face the hardest decision in history: continue or step back from the brink, assuming the war is still normal. But what if both sides avoided nuclear war? What would a conventional conflict look like? NATO forces push into Ukraine and Belarus. Russia launches counterattacks, turning Eastern Europe into a brutal battlefield. The US deploys its F-35s and B-2 bombers, striking deep behind Russian lines. Russia's S-400 and S-500 air defenses attempt to hold NATO at bay. Naval warfare. The US Navy dominates the Atlantic. Russia's submarine fleet disrupts NATO supply lines. This war wouldn't last days or weeks. It could drag on for months, even years, causing millions of deaths and economic devastation. Who would win? So in a war between the US and Russia, who would win? If it goes nuclear, no one wins. Humanity loses. If it's a short war, the US and NATO have the upper hand. If it drags on, Russia's endurance and resources could turn the tide. But in reality, no one truly wins a war of this scale. Millions would die, economies would collapse, and the world would never be the same. Could this really happen? Here's the good news. Both the US and Russia understand that a full-scale war is unwinnable. Diplomacy, back-channel negotiations, and mutual deterrence have prevented catastrophe. So far. But history has shown that wars don't always start by design. Sometimes they happen by mistake. How close are we to global war? This is just a hypothetical video about a total war between Russia and the United States. I hope that through this video we will see the importance of protecting peace for humanity. Please comment below the video what you are thinking. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it and think about it, please give me a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Sincerely thank you, and see you again.